Hey there. So today I'll be talking about the very frequently asked questions in IRCs or channel of projects, and that is how to learn a new technology in order to do a project. So let's understand first thing that when you were in school, you learned math throughout, like starting from class 1 to class 10, and it was continuously evolving, but you were not taught like 2 years completely focusing on math, the next 2 years on literature subject, or on next 2 years on a science based subject. It doesn't work like that. Everything which you learned in school was like completely parallel. You learned all three of them together, async, every single day, and you learned it for years. Only difference was that the level was increasing slowly and steadily so that you can grasp and you can perform something better on it. Similar to that, this is how the world of softwares and computers work. So in order to learn something new, you don't have to worry so much at that. Like if you completely focus 2 to 3 months specifically on a single technology, and and you will master it. Because if you learned only maths up to 2 years in school, and then like I don't think you would do as good in math which you are doing right now after learning it for years and years. But yes, so this is the analogy. So you have to continuously keep learning different technologies, or like there is no limit to anything. And another thing is that if someone claims that they have completed learning something, so it's a completely false claim. Uh, what if I ask you that what is the end of learning math? There is no end. It continuously keeps evolving. People come up with new theory, and similarly in computer there is new theory, new framework, new language. Everything is new each day, so you don't have to worry so much that you don't know something. Like there is a reason why there are research papers, or uh, there are documentations in software world, so that you can refer it if you forgot or if you are confused at some point in time, because uh, things are too vast to grasp, and you don't have to worry a lot that you are missing on to something. Now let's come to the part that how you should learn a specific technology or a domain. The first thing should be that you should try to understand that why it exists in the first place. For example, uh, like since years there are multiple programming languages, then what actually triggered that in 2013 people invented a new language? Like people invented Rust, and earlier they invented Golang, or even like if C was existing, let's take very basic example. Let's not go in Golang or Rust. Let's understand with a very basic example. So C was always there since years. Why do people invented C++? You need to understand the why whatever you are trying to learn. Like even in the web development era, like if you know that like React always existed since years, but why do people came up with Next.js? So you need to understand the philosophy that why something exists. It would hardly take you around 20 minutes to read the documentation or a single video of why something exists, and that 20 minutes could, trust me, save your career's time by a lot more amount. Once you complete your why, then you need to understand what is the goal of that particular framework or thing, or what are the features involved in it. And once you know what about it, then you need to understand how you can apply it. So it's in three basic formula: why it exists, what it offers, and how you can use it to get your work done. So coming to one more part, that what are the best practices of any domain? Because obviously, like when people say that you need to have skills, the skills basically refers that you know more amount of best practices than somebody else, because Python or any programming language is basically open source, and there are tons of projects out there on YouTube or on the documentation or elsewhere, etc., etc. But what sets you apart is that how far have you went, how complex you have made things, or how easy you have tried to present it, those complex things. It matters a lot. And so what I was saying was basically that you need to understand how you can make it easy. In order to learn a language, for example, per se, let's say you want to learn a particular new language, it hardly takes you around 2-3 days. If you know the basics of programming, what is for loop, while loop, what are variables, data assignment, etc., it would hardly take you 2 days to 3 days to get a grasp of the syntax of the language. Obviously, you cannot be an expert. You might not know the functions into it, or like internal features of the language, but at least to know the syntax and write the basic code up, it hardly takes 2 to 3 days. The next task is to build some basic projects so that we get an idea of how exactly it works. And the third part is to know and understand the ecosystem built around a language or a technology. For example, like you might be knowing about libraries or packages. If you use Node, then it's npm packages. The more number of packages you know how they exist, it's pretty easy to write to code, like it flies away. But the most challenging aspect is to know things up. In order to know things, you need to know very basics. Like for example, file system is one of the most important thing. So for every framework, you would observe that there is a common file system or a file structure. Like if you write up a React app or Next app or like Angular also as well. I think Angular is a bit different, but yeah. So what happens is that there is always an app.js file, or if it's a C++, then there is main.cpp or main.c file. So like, and then there are library header files. So you need to explore those and understand how the file system works for a particular thing. And that like pretty much sums up basics. And then everything remains on the documentation. Like you need to every day scroll through multiple things, watch projects, and this is the reason why open source is important, so that you can see something and learn from it and apply it to your projects and make things even better. So this is the reason why people always say that programming languages should be open source, and this is the right way we are going, especially in the languages domain. But there are commercial applications. For example, Microsoft has its operating system, which is closed source. But let's say there is an operating system of any Linux distribution which is open source. So you can refer it. If you want to build your operating system, you can just like have that code, or you can get an idea of how it works, and then you can wrap it around and give us functionality which nobody else can give it. So it's really easy to implement things and learn it. So the main thing is that you know very basic of anything. You need to learn multiple things in parallel in order to understand how something works. And I think like this would sum up your journey of learning anything new. So yes, all the best for your learning ahead. Thank you.